afternoon, Chaos. This is Kelatos, your friendly Legion's leader here on a short vacation in Legacy. Here to do another roster review, this one of Anakin, one of our brothers in Society of Chaos. Now, I've had this review ready for a while, just haven't really found the time to sit down and record it. So Anakin, I apologize for the wait, but I do think it will be worth it. I'm just kind of looking at what you've been working on and what direction you're headed. Now, I know Society is like laser focused and like super intense on getting that heroic Sith ready. So I just went through what I would think your top 4 teams are for Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, and Phase 4. Hopefully this feedback is beneficial and useful to you. If not, then I apologize. I wish I could live up to the hype. But on our way there, let's just dive right in and check it out. Now we see, first of all, you're got a good start on your Gear 12s. I know you are a free-to-play player, so it's good to see that many Gear 12s. And a solid number of Gear 10s and 11, and then we kind of drop off really quickly into the Gear 9s, which is not a bad thing. It just means that you are doing a really good job staying super focused on what you need. So let's go through and see what my initial recommendations would be. Phase 1, the undisputed leader of that group is a Jedi Training Rey group, and it looks like you've got that group pretty stacked right now with a Jedi Training Rey and her leader Zeta. I do believe Insight is a fairly strong Zeta to have, so I would recommend getting onto that one as soon as you can. We see you got a maxed out BB-8 with Roll with the Punches and Self-Preservation Protocol. Roll with the Punches is a very highly recommended Zeta. I personally really like the Self-Preservation Protocol. It does help BB-8 stay alive. And in this group, you're probably going to be using R2-D2 with them. So the Self-Preservation will help R2-D2 stay alive. And R2-D2 has both Combat Analysis and Number Crunch Zated. Great. Is good to go. And I like seeing the speed and potency there. I don't know so much about the potency, just because Rey's leader ability makes the exposes not resistible, so you probably don't need a potency set, but possibly you would want to use a health set instead. I'm not sure. I'm definitely not the expert in this group, so you could definitely ask some others what they're running and check it out. The 4th member of this group, almost maxed, is your Resistance Trooper. Again, I don't know how much you're going to need the potency in the raid, so maybe switching that out with a health. And then the final member of this team is Scavenger Rey. So you got speed and crit chance, very nice. No Zeta unfocused strikes, which is probably good, because the Zeta just increases her chance to land days, or lets it land a days, which, as everybody knows, is practically useless in the Sith raid. So your Phase 1 group off and running to a great start. Phase 2, I see a number of options. Now, first of all, I did check some of my favorites in the Sith group, which you don't have many of them 5 stars, so can rule out that one. Also looked for, Roy's favorite, the Ewoks. Definitely got a ways to go there for stars, so kind of cross them off the list. And then we get to your Empire. Your Empire group has some potential here. There's good potential with, Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vader, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Grand Moff Tarkin. Throw in a solid tank. But I thought your best bet is going to be one of 2 options. Either the Imperial Troopers, with General Veers Snow Trooper, Colonel Stark, Short Trooper, excuse me, and possibly Magma Trooper, Stormtrooper, one of those two. But for that group, you really need to have a Zeta on Veers, and I would strongly recommend the Zeta on Stark, neither of which you're close to getting. And then I looked at your Phoenix group, which I think might be better along than your Troopers. This group I would leave out Chopper, and I looked to see if you've got any Zetas on them, which I don't think you do, which is not a problem. However, I would probably start working on Phoenix unless you want to go with the Machine Gun Leia group, which I've heard some good things about. Now, this Machine Gun Leia group uses, for you, 3 Rebels, potentially, in Admiral Akbar, Princess Leia, and Stormtrooper Han, all 3 of which you have at Gear 11 already. And Princess Leia, you could throw a Zeta on her, though I've heard it's not super necessary. And then with this group, you definitely want General Kenobi, which you have maxed out. And you'd want a healer to go with this group. Now, your most available healer right now is Luminara Unduli, but I've heard that the best healer with this group is Hermit Yoda or Barriss Offee. So, if you could get Barriss to 7-star relatively quickly, that'd be a pretty good bet. I believe you could start farming her out of the Cantina. So that's an option for you. So you could use, that's the best group for you right now, would be your Machine Gun Leia. So maybe try that out in Phase 2, see how it works. See if you can get it working. I know Rizzo in Slack, he's been using it a lot, so he'd probably have some good advice for you there. Now, moving on to Phase 3, you've got a solid Rebel group here for the Chex Mix, with a Commander Luke Skywalker lead, of which you have maxed Zetas, which is awesome. You would need a Raid Han, which you have him maxed as well. This group also uses, I believe Pow is the best bet, but I don't see him. Yeah, only 2 stars. You could start farming him out of the Cantina shop, I believe is where he's at. He's not a bad farm. However, in the meantime, you want a more reliable offense up. So that more reliable offense up could come in the form of Jedi Knight Anakin. Jedi Knight Anakin, with his Reckless Assault, can grant offense up to your team. And he's attacker, so he provides Raid Han a lot of damage when he's using standalone. Alternatively, you could use Qui-Gon Jinn, because his Humbling Blow is a guaranteed offense up. However, he's a support character instead of a attacker, so the damage that he gives to Rex isn't going to be as high. So Jedi Knight Anakin is probably your best bet. For this group, you're also going to want to have somebody to provide tenacity up. Now, there's 2 solid choices. One is Chirrut Imwe, which you only have at 4 stars. So that kind of defaults us to the other choice, who is my personal favorite, Captain Rex, who you already have Gear 12. So Captain Rex's squad discipline would grant the tenacity up that you need for Raid Han in order for a Chex Mix to work. And the last spot is one that you would have to put gear on, and that is Death Trooper. You know, Death Trooper is pretty important for this group, and it's very useful or very imperative that you get him in there for his death mark. So really want to get him geared up and thrown in this group. And that rounds out the Chex Mix. Again, Commander Luke Skywalker, Raid Han, Jedi Anakin, Rex, and Death Trooper. So to recap, Phase 1, you've got a really banging resistance group. You need 2 more pieces of Jedi or Scavenger Rey, and she's gear 12, and possibly 1 more Zeta on Jedi Training Rey. For Phase 2, the best bet for you is probably a Rebel group with Admiral Akbar, Princess Leia, Stormtrooper Han, and then General Kenobi and Barriss Offee. Barriss being the one that needs the most gear, and possibly a Zeta on Princess Leia, but that's really debatable. And then Phase 3, Chex Mix, another group that could use a lot of a number of Rebels, would be the Chex Mix with Commander Luke Skywalker and Raid Han, throwing in Clone Trooper Commander Rex and Jedi Knight Anakin, both from the Galactic Republic faction. And then the one character in that group that would need gear is the Death Trooper. Now for Phase 4, there's a few groups that could be used, or a few groups, and you're a significant ways from getting any of them completed. So, kind of looked at first your Night Sisters, and even the original Night Sisters are pretty far away, so we can scratch them off for the time being. And then next, we looked at the Clone Trooper group for the clones plus bays against Traya, but you really need some Echo shards. Not so much Cody, but definitely Clone Sergeant and Echo. However, to use that group, you really would want to get Chirrut up so you can use him in Chex Mix and keep Captain Rex for this group. So, not really sure what the best thing there would be. So, the most along Phase 4 group is your First Order. Now, I'll tell you that the First Order Executioner and Kylo Ren Unmasked are super key to this group. So, I would personally stop gearing Kylo and Captain Phasma and focus on gearing once you get your Death Trooper and Barriss Offee up to go. I would gear Kylo Ren Unmasked, First Order Executioner, First Order Stormtrooper, First Order Special Forces TIE Fighter Pilot, and the First Order Officer. Now, that group is a great group. They can actually work incredibly well in Phase 3. And this group only needs 1 Zeta to work, and that would be the Zeta on Merciless Pursuit for Kylo Ren Unmasked. And Kylo Ren Unmasked and First Order Executioner are real quick farms out of the Cantina store, because they are both on 8 energy nodes. So you get a lot of them often. And the bonus to that is Kylo Ren's node also gives his ship the TIE Silencer, which is a phenomenal ship right now. So that's kind of the long farm for you with those 4. But for right now, if I were you, if you're a completionist, get Scavenger Raid done so that Phase 1 group is all gear 12. If instead you just want the most usable teams right now, I would leave Scavenger Rey where she's at, and I would start working on either Barriss Offee, getting her geared and starred, or Luminara as an alternative healer, and then gearing up Death Trooper. Actually, I would use Luminara for right now. She's definitely not a healer in the same caliber as Barriss Offee, but she's a solid enough healer, and you have her at gear 10 already. So, Luminara to gear 11, Death Trooper to gear 11, And then your Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3 teams, get them all up to Gear 12. And then while you're doing that, you should have or should be farming First Order shards. Again, for the Kylo Ren Unmasked and the First Order Executioner. So that by the time you have those other 3 groups all at Gear 12, you will have the First Order you need at 7 stars. So then once all those other 3 teams are Gear 12, you can start working on these guys. So that would be my recommendation for right now. I know you are a very limited time and farming schedule, so those would just be my initial recommendations. You can take them or leave them. Again, if you don't use them, my feelings are not hurt, I promise. So good luck to you and society in your upcoming heroic attempts / kills. I know you're going to get it down, so good luck to you guys. And good luck to you personally, Anakin. I know you've been around for a while. You've always been a asset to Chaos. So I hope to see you succeed in the future. Until next time, Chaos, this is Akelatos saying good night.